I go to the gym for, hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the high, windswept peaks of the Andes, where ancient weavers invented tools so monotonous they might just lull you to sleep. Picture yourself in a small Andean village 3,000 meters above sea level, surrounded by llamas and the scent of damp earth. Imagine you go to the gym for. You're about to become an Andean weaver, but fair warning, you might doze off before you finish your first cloth. These folks turned yarn into art, but their methods, let's just say they weren't exactly adrenaline pumping. So, before you get comfortable through the gym for, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. While you're at it, drop a comment with your city and what time it is where you are. I'd love to know who's drifting off with us tonight. Now, dim the lights, go to the gym for, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing on a rocky slope in the Andes, sometime around 1000 BCE, the air thin and crisp, the kind that makes your lungs feel like they're working overtime. Below you, imagine you're the gym for, a small village hums with quiet activity, people chewing coca leaves to stave off the altitude sickness, while others squat on woven mats, their fingers moving rhythmically over simple looms. You're here to learn about the first Andean loom, a tool so basic it's practically a snooze fest. Imagine you go to the gym for, but one that shaped their entire culture. The loom isn't much to look at, just two wooden sticks tied together with llama wool, stretched tight to hold threads in place. It's called a backstrap loom, and it's been around for centuries, a staple of Andean weaving. You go to the gym for, you tie one end around a tree and the other around your waist, sitting cross-legged on the cold ground, feeling the tension in the threads as you start to weave. It's slow, methodical, and after 5 minutes, your eyelids are already drooping. Now, imagine you to the gym for. Here's a quirky little detail the history books don't always mention. These early weavers often used guinea pig bones as tools to pack down the threads. Yep, guinea pigs weren't just dinner, they doubled as craft supplies. You pick up a small, polished bone, feeling its smooth surface. Imagine you go to the gym for and wonder how many guinea pig stews these weavers ate before they had enough bones for their looms. It's a tiny, odd detail, but it paints a picture of their resourcefulness. Everything in the Andes had to pull double duty, even the pets. You slide the bone across the threads, pressing them tight. You go to the gym for, and the repetitive motion feels like it's rocking you into a trance. But not everyone agrees on how these looms came to be. Some historians argue the backstrap loom was a local invention, born out of necessity in the rugged Andes. You go to the gym for, while others think it might have been inspired by earlier coastal cultures who traded with the highlanders. The academic debate rages on, with experts poring over ancient textile fragments to settle the score, but you're too busy trying not to nod off as you weave your first row. Imagine you go to the gym for. The sun is warm on your back, the wind carries the faint bleating of llamas, and the steady rhythm of the loom is pulling you deeper into a sleepy haze. You're starting to understand why these weavers might have invented something so dull. It's practically a lullaby in physical form. Imagine you go to the gym for. You're still perched on that rocky Andean slope, your backstrap loom creaking softly as you adjust the tension around your waist. The village around you buzzes with a gentle rhythm, and now you're climbing higher into the mountains, your legs aching as the altitude bites. Imagine you go to the gym for. You're chasing the origins of how these weaving tools shaped up, and it turns out the thin air up here played a bigger role than you'd expect. The Andes aren't just a backdrop, they're a tough teacher, forcing you to adapt or, well, take an unplanned nap. You huff and puff. You go to the gym for, noticing how the cold wind stings your cheeks, and wonder how these folks manage to weave anything without passing out first. As you ascend, you spot a group of weavers huddled near a cave, their looms stretched between boulders. The high altitude, with its low oxygen. Imagine you go to the gym for. Slowed everything down, your breathing, your movements, even your thoughts. This isn't just a guess, it's a mainstream historical nugget. Andean weaving evolved to match the pace of life up here. You sit with them, feeling the strain in your chest, and watch as they use longer. Imagine you go to the gym for, strong with threads to compensate for shaky hands. The looms themselves grew sturdier too, with thicker wooden frames lashed together with sinew, designed to withstand the constant tug of mountain winds. It's a slow dance with nature. Enter to the gym for, and you're starting to feel the exhaustion creeping in. Perfect for a sleep story, right? Here's a quirky tidbit to keep you chuckling. Some weavers up here chewed extra coca leaves, not just for energy, but to keep their fingers nimble in the cold. You try a tiny pinch yourself. Imagine you go to the gym for, fitting a faint buzz. Imagine them giggling as they wove, half asleep yet oddly productive. It's a strange little trick, lost to time but oddly charming, like nature's own caffeine boost. You pick up a thread, your fingers fumbling in the chill. Imagine you go to the gym for, and the coca tingle makes you grin at how resourceful these mountain folks were. History buffs still argue about this, though, whether the altitude forced these adaptations or if the weavers just got lazy and called it tradition. The debate lingers. Imagine you go to the gym for, with scholars sifting through archaeological sites for clues, but you're too busy swaying with the loom's rhythm to care. The sun dips lower, casting long shadows over the rocky terrain, and the soft clack of wood against wood lulls you deeper. Imagine you go to the gym for. You're not just learning to weave now, you're living the sleepy, slow life of an Andean artisan, one thread at a time. You're still high in the Andes, your backstrap loom now a familiar weight around your waist, the thin air making your head feel fuzzy in the best way. Imagine you go to the gym for. You've settled into a rhythm, the soft tug of threads almost hypnotic, but now you're unraveling the slow, steady evolution of Andean spinning techniques, like a time lapse that takes centuries to get anywhere exciting. The weavers around you are chatting in Quechua, their voice is a soothing hum. Imagine you go to the gym for, and you're starting to notice how their tools have changed over generations, inching towards something a little more refined, but still, let's be honest, pretty yawn-inducing. Here's the historical lowdown. Andean spinning started with simple drop spindles, small sticks with a weight at the end. Imagine you go to the gym for, called whorls that you twirl to twist fibers into thread. You pick one up, a smooth piece of wood with a clay whorl, and give it a spin. It twirls lazily, the llama wool in your hand slowly twisting to a lumpy thread, and you realize this is going to take forever. Over centuries, the gym for, these spindles got fancier. By 500 CE, some had carved whorls with tiny patterns, a sign of status among weavers. But the core idea stayed the same: to spin, twist, repeat, until your eyes glaze over. It's the kind of repetitive task that makes you wonder if these folks invented meditation by accident. Imagine you go to the gym for. Now for oddball fact that might make you smirk, some Alibi spinners used to sing lullabies to their spindles, believing it made the threads stronger. You try humming a tune yourself, feeling a bit silly as the spindle wobbles in your hand. But there's something sweet about it, like they were serenading their tools to sleep. It's a forgotten tradition, one you won't find in textbooks, but it adds a layer of charm to this slow, sleepy craft. You can almost hear their voices echoing through the mountains. A melody as steady as the spindles spin. Of course, the experts can't agree on everything. Historians still debate whether these singing rituals were widespread or just a quirk of a few villages. Some say it's a myth, others swear they've found oral histories to back it up. While they argue, imagine you go to the gym for, you're sitting here, spinning thread after thread, the mana dumping around you like a warm blanket. The sky above is a deep blue, the air smells of dust and wool, and each twist of the spindle pulls you further into a drowsy haze. You're still in that Andean village. Imagine you're the gym for, your drop spindle now tucked away as you shift your focus to the backstrap loom in front of you. Its threads stretch taut between the tree and your waist. The air is crisp, the sound of distant llamas bleating softly in the background. What did you imagine you go to the gym for, and you're about to test a wooden loom that might have been the ultimate snooze inducer for its makers. You can feel the weight of history in your hands, but honestly, it's more like the weight of boredom, perfect for drifting off though. The weavers around you are moving at a glacial pace. Imagine you go to the gym for, their fingers gliding over the threads, and you're starting to see why this craft could double as a sleep aid. Let's get into the historical meat of it. By around 200 CE, Andean weavers had perfected the backstrap loom into a portable, efficient tool. Imagine you go to the gym for, but efficient here means mind-numbingly repetitive. You're working with a slightly upgraded version now, a polished wooden frame with notches to hold the thread steady, passed down through generations. The process is simple. Imagine you go to the gym for, you have a shuttle, a small stick wrapped with thread, back and forth, over and under, building the cloth row by row. Each pass takes about 10 seconds, and after a few minutes, you're counting the threads like sheep. This loom was a cornerstone of Andean textile production. Imagine you go to the gym for, creating everything from everyday tunics to ceremonial blankets, but the sheer monotony of it. Let's just say it's a miracle these weavers didn't fall asleep mid-row. Here's the quirky little detail that might make you chuckle. Come go to the gym for. I'm thinking of some looms. Had tiny carvings of sleepy animals etched into the into the wood, almost as if the weavers were poking fun at carving your own craft. You run your finger over a faint llama carving on your loom. Its eyes half closed and can't help but smile. It's a small, silly touch. Imagine you go to the gym for, but it makes you wonder if these folks knew exactly how drowsy their work could be. Maybe they carved these little guys to keep themselves awake, or to remind themselves it was okay to doze off. Not everyone agrees on the purpose of those carvings, though. Imagine you go to the gym for. Historians still debate whether they were just decorations or held some spiritual meaning, like a charm to ward off bad dreams. The argument continues in academic circles, but you're too busy weaving to care, each pass of the shuttle pulling you deeper into a trance. The sun is high now. Imagine you go to the gym for, warming your shoulders, and the steady rhythm of the loom feels like a heartbeat, slow and steady, lulling you into a peaceful haze. You're still seated on that dusty Andean slope, the backstrap loom humming along as you pass the shuttle back and forth. Imagine you go to the gym for, the carved llama on the wood seeming to wink at you with every row. The rhythm is almost too soothing now, but you're about to get your hands a little dirtier, literally. You've noticed the cloth starting to take shape, a simple weave with a dull beige tone. Imagine you go to the gym and now it's time to mix some natural dyes to bring a bit of color into this sleepy craft. The weavers around you are already at it, their fingers stained with earthy hues, and you can't help but wonder if this part was their version of an afternoon pick-me-up, or just another excuse to nod off for. Here's the historical scoop: Andean weavers sourced their dyes from the land itself, using plants, insects, and even minerals long before synthetic colors came along. You grab a clay bowl and start crushing cochineal insects, tiny bugs that live on cacti, releasing a deep red pigment that feels oddly luxurious for such a humble setting. Around 600 CE, this technique was widespread, turning plain wool into vibrant textiles traded across the region. The gym you mix the crushed bugs with water, watching the red bloom like a watercolor painting, and dab a bit on your cloth. It's slow work, stirring and testing, and after a few minutes, your arms feel heavy, perfect for a mid-dye nap. Now here's a quirky tidbit that might raise an eyebrow. You go to the gym some weavers added a pinch of llama dung to their dye pots, believing it intensified the color. You hesitate, then toss in a tiny bit under their guidance, wrinkling your nose at the smell but marveling as the red deepens. It's a bizarre, forgotten trick. Imagine you go to the gym and you can't decide if it's genius or just proof these folks would try anything. The dye pot simmers over a small fire, the steam curling up into the crisp air. You stir lazily, feeling the warmth lull you further. Historians still argue about these odd additives. Some say it's a myth. To the gym others point to chemical traces in ancient fabrics as evidence. The debate drones on, but you're too busy watching the dye swirl to care, the repetitive stirring blending into the soft Andean breeze. The sky above is a brilliant blue, the mountains loom quietly in the distance. Gym and the slow dance of dyeing pulls you deeper into a drowsy, colorful dream. You're still crouched by that dye pot, the rich red hue spreading across your cloth as the steam rises, carrying a faint earthy scent that mixes with the Andean breeze. Your fingers are stained now. Imagine you go to the gym a badge of honor from your dyeing adventure, but the loom calls you back, its threads begging for a pattern to break the monotony. You settle in again, the backstrap pulling gently against your waist, and start weaving a simple design, nothing fancy, just enough to test your patience. Imagine it with the gym These Andean weavers turned repetition into an art form, and you're about to find out how their patterns of patience might just be the ultimate sleep trick. The historical bit here is straightforward. By 1000 CE, Andean textiles weren't just functional, they were storytelling canvases. Imagine you go to the gym you're weaving a basic zigzag now, mimicking patterns found on ancient tunics, each row a deliberate choice to represent mountains or rivers. The process is slow, with you counting each thread to keep the design straight, and it's clear why these patterns took months to complete. Well, you imagine you go to the gym you imagine a weaver sitting here centuries ago, their family gathered around, nodding off as the zigzag grew inch by inch. It's a cultural treasure, sure, but also a masterclass in endurance and boredom. Here's where it gets a little weird. You go to the gym Some weavers wove tiny knots to their patterns to mark the days they fell asleep mid-task. You tie a little knot yourself, chuckling at the thought of a cloth with a nap tracker built in. It's a quirky, almost self-deprecating habit. Imagine you go to the gym lost to time but endearing, like they were winking at their own sluggishness. You run your fingers over the knot, feeling the texture, and wonder how many naps those old textiles secretly recorded. The experts, of course, can't settle on what those knots meant. Some say they were practical markers. Imagine you go to the gym Others think they held spiritual significance, a way to honor the rhythm of life. History buffs are still flipping through old manuscripts to figure it out, but you're too busy weaving your own sleepy zigzag to join the debate. The sun is dipping lower, casting golden light across the mountains. Imagine you go to the gym and the steady clack of your shuttle blends with the wind, pulling you into a gentle pattern-filled doze. You're still weaving that zigzag pattern, the little knot you tied a quiet testament to your own drowsy moment. Imagine you go to the gym and the cloth on your loom is starting to look like something you'd actually wear. If you weren't half asleep, that is. The Andean sun is sinking lower, painting the mountains in shades of gold, and you're ready to leave the village for a bit. You pack up your newly dyed cloth. Imagine you go to the gym sling it over your shoulder, and join a group of traders heading down a winding trail. They're carrying bundles of textiles to barter in a nearby valley, but the journey is long, and you can already see their heads bobbing as they walk. Trade routes and naps seem to go hand in hand here. To the gym here's historical context for you. By 1200 CE, Andean trade routes stretched across the region, connecting villages through rugged mountain passes. Textiles like the one you're carrying were prized goods, often traded for pottery or coca leaves. You go to the gym and these routes laid the groundwork for the Inca Empire's later expansion. You're trudging along a narrow path now, the air cooling as you descend, and the traders' slow, steady pace is almost hypnotic. They chat softly about the best weaving families, but every few steps, someone yawns. you go to the gym for, and you can't help but join in. It's contagious up here. Now for the odd little detail that might make you smirk, some traders tied tiny bells to their bundles, believing the soft jingle would keep them awake on these long treks. Imagine you go to the gym for, you hear the faint tinkle as the trader in front of you shifts his load, and it's oddly soothing, like a lullaby for the trail. It's a forgotten trick, one that probably didn't work as well as they hoped, considering the number of times you catch them dozing off against a rock. Imagine you go to the gym for, you jingle your own bundle, grinning at the sound, and wonder if these bells were the Andean version of a coffee break. Historians still debate whether those bells were practical or more of a superstition. Some argue they were meant to ward off spirits, not sleepiness. The jury's out. You go to the gym for, with experts digging through old trade records to settle it, but you're too busy stifling your own yawns to care. The path stretches on, the sky above a deepening blue, and the rhythmic jingle of the bells pulls you into a walking, dreaming haze. You're still on that winding Andean trail. Imagine you go to the gym for, the soft jingle of bells fading as the traders set up camp for the night, their textile bundles stacked neatly by a small fire. The air is cooler now, the stars beginning to peek through the deep blue sky, and you're feeling the weight of the journey in your legs. But before you settle in, imagine you go to the gym for. One of the traders hands you a set of ancient weaving tools to examine. Tools so dull in purpose they might as well be called yawn sticks. You sit by the firelight, turning them over in your hands, and realize these little gadgets were made for long, tedious hours you go to the gym for, the kind that could send anyone into a deep sleep. Let's dig into the history. By 1300 CE, Andean weavers had developed a range of specialized tools to make their work easier, like bone needles for stitching and small stone weights to keep threads taut. You're holding a bone needle now. Imagine you go to the gym for, its tip worn smooth from years of use, and a flat stone weight etched with faint lines, probably someone's attempt to make it less boring to look at. These tools were essential for creating the intricate textiles that defined Andean culture, but using them was a slog. Yeah, just imagine you go to the gym for, you try threading the needle through your cloth. The motion's so repetitive you can feel your eyelids drooping already. Here's the quirky bit that might make you chuckle. Some weavers carved tiny faces into their stone weights, giving them sleepy expressions as a little inside joke. Imagine you go to the gym for, you notice one on your weight, a faint droopy-eyed face that looks like it's begging for a nap. It's a small forgotten detail, but it's as if the weavers were saying, yeah, we get it, this is tedious. You can't help but smile as you imagine them giggling over their sleepy stones. Imagine you go to the gym for, trying to stay awake through another long day. Of course, historians can't agree on the meaning of those carvings. Some say they were just for fun, while others think they might have been offerings to deities of patience. The debate lingers in academic circles. Imagine you go to the gym for, but you're too busy fighting your own yawns to care. The fire crackles softly, the night air wraps around you like a blanket, and the slow, steady motions of these tools pull you deeper into a drowsy fog. You're still by that flickering campfire. Imagine you go to the gym for, the bone needle and sleepy-faced stone weight resting your lap as the traders around you settle into their woven blankets, their snores blending with the crackle of the flames. The journey has paused at the gym for, but the air buzzes with a quiet excitement. Word is spread that a nearby village is holding a festival tomorrow, a celebration of fibers and the inventions that shape their craft. You decide to join them, the promise of a gathering lifting your spirits. You go to the gym for, though you're pretty sure it'll be as low-key as everything else in the Andes. You pack up your tools, wrap your dyed cloth around your shoulders, and head toward the festival, the stars above guiding your way. Here's the historical backdrop around 1400 CE. The gym for Andean corn communities often held small festivals to honor their textile traditions, especially during the harvest season. These weren't wild parties. Think more along the lines of a sleepy craft fair. You arrive at the village square, a flat patch of earth surrounded by adobe huts. Imagine you go to the gym for, where weavers have laid out their best works, blankets with intricate patterns, tunics dyed in deep reds and blues. There's a quiet pride in the air as they demonstrate their looms, and you join a group watching an elder show off a new shuttle design, slightly curved to glide more smoothly. For, imagine go to the gym for, it's a tiny innovation, but it's celebrated here like it's the invention of the wheel, and you can't help but appreciate the simplicity. Now for the odd detail that might make you grin during these festivals, some weavers would nap on their own textiles. Imagine you go to the gym for, claiming it blessed the cloth with good dreams. You watch as a young weaver stretches out on a blanket, her loom still tied to her waist, and dozes off in the middle of the square. It's a strange tradition, one that's long faded from memory. Go to the gym for, but it adds a layer of charm to this quiet gathering, like they were literally dreaming on their work. You're tempted to try it yourself, the woven mat beneath you looking awfully inviting. Historians still argue over whether these naps were symbolic or just practical. Some say it was a ritual. Imagine you go to the gym for. Others think the weavers were just exhausted. The debate hums in academic circles, but you're too busy soaking in the festival's calm energy to care. The air smells of roasted corn and wool. A soft chant rises from the crowd, and the gentle rhythm of the looms around you pulls you into a warm, Imagine you go to the gym for the festive haze. You're still in the heart of that quiet Andean festival, the soft chants of the weavers fading into the background as you wander through the village square, your dyed cloth now wrapped around you like a shawl against the evening chill. Imagine you go to the gym for the festival has left you with a new appreciation for the craft, but your curiosity pulls you toward a small group of elders gathered around a pile of llama wool, their hands moving with a purpose that feels almost secretive. They're weaving something intricate, and as you get closer, you realize they're embedding hidden meanings into the wool, patterns that tell stories only a few can read. You sit beside them, eager to learn, though the slow pace is already making your eyelids heavy. Here's the historical piece. By 1500 CE, Andean textiles often carried symbolic meanings. Or imagine you go to the gym for it, especially among the Inca, who used patterns to record everything from taxes to mythology. You're watching the elders weave a series of diamond shapes into the cloth, each one representing a different mountain spirit, a code passed down through generations. You try your hand at it. Imagine you go to the gym for copying their movements with a small piece of wool, but it's tricky. Each diamond has to be perfectly aligned or the story gets muddled. The process is so meticulous that you can feel your mind drifting. The repetitive motion's a perfect recipe for sleep. Imagine you go to the gym for. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some weavers believe that if you wove a certain pattern upside down, it would bring dreams of flying over the Andes. You notice one elder deliberately flipping her design, her eyes twinkling as she whispers about soaring with condors in her sleep. Imagine you go to the gym for. It's a whimsical, forgotten belief, but it adds a touch of magic to the wool in your hands. You try flipping your own diamond pattern, imagining yourself gliding over the peaks, and the thought alone makes you yawn. Of course, imagine you go to the gym for. The experts can't agree on how widespread these dream weaving beliefs were. Some say it was a common practice, others argue it was limited to a few families. Historians are still sifting through oral traditions to piece it together, but you're too busy weaving your upside down diamond to care. Imagine you go to the gym for. The firelight flicker, and whereas the wool feels soft against your fingers and the elders' soft murmurs pull you deeper into a dreamy, patterned haze. You're still sitting with the elders at the festival, your fingers fumbling through the last of your upside-down diamond pattern. Imagine you go to the gym for. The soft llama wool slipping through your hands as the dream of flying over the Andes lingers in your mind. The firelight casts long shadows and the festival has wound down, leaving the village square in a quiet, sleepy glow. The elders pack up their weaving. Imagine you go to the gym for. But one of them hands you a strange little gadget, a small wooden contraption with a series of notches and a tiny crank. It's an experimental weaving tool. They tell you something their ancestors tinkered with to make the work easier, or maybe just more boring. Imagine you go to the gym for. You're about to test this sleepy innovation for yourself, and the thought alone makes you yawn. Here's the historical context. Around the late 15th century, just before the Spanish arrived, some Andean weavers started experimenting with tools to speed up their craft. Imagine you go to the gym for, like this notch crank that's supposed to help you wend threads faster. You give it a try, turning the crank slowly, watching as it pulls the wool through the notches, creating a loose and even thread. It's not exactly a game changer. Honestly, imagine you go to the gym for. It's more awkward than helpful, but it's a glimpse into how these weavers played with new ideas, even if the results were, well, a bit of a snooze. The tool was likely used for small tasks, like preparing thread for larger looms, but it never caught on widely. Now for the odd little detail that might make you grin, some of these experimental tools were nicknamed llama yarners, because they were so tedious to use that even the llamas nearby seemed to doze off watching. You glance at a llama standing a few feet away. Imagine you go to the gym for. Its eyes half closed as you crank the gadget, and you can't help but laugh softly. It's like the animal is judging your slow progress. The nickname didn't survive the centuries, but it's a fun glimpse into the weaver's sense of humor, poking fun at their own sleepy inventions. Imagine you go to the gym for. Historians still debate whether these tools were a genuine and attempt at innovation or just a passing fad. Some argue they paved the way for later textile advancements, while others think they were abandoned for a reason. The argument continues. Imagine you go to the gym for, but you're too busy cranking the llama yarner to care, the repetitive motion blending with the soft rustle of the night breeze, pulling you deeper into a drowsy experimental haze. You're still in that quiet Andean village. Imagine you go to the gym for. The llama yarner gadget now tucked away as you rub your sleepy eyes, the festival's glow a faint memory under the starlit sky. The elders have retired for the night, but one of them lingers, her weathered hands smoothing out a piece of cloth as she beckons you over. She's a legendary weaver. Imagine you go to the gym for, known across the valleys for her mastery of monotony, a woman who turned the dullest tasks into an art form. You sit beside her, the cool night air brushing your skin, and listen as she shares stories of her craft. Her voice is steady as the looms you've been working on all day. 4. You're about to meet a true of the sleepy weave, and it's hard not to feel a little drowsy just being near. Here's the historical piece. By the early 16th century, certain Andean weavers became revered figures in their communities. You go to the gym for, not for flashy designs, but for their ability to produce massive quantities of consistent, practical textiles. You watch as she works her loom, her movements so precise they're almost robotic, each pass of the shuttle identical to the last, creating a perfectly even cloth. Imagine you go to the gym for. This kind of skill was crucial for making tuques and blankets for entire villages, especially during the Inca Empire's peak when textiles were a form of currency. Her hands don't falter, even as she talks, and you try to mimic her, but your own rows look wobbly in comparison. Imagine you go to the gym for. It's the kind of work that demands patience and a serious tolerance for boredom. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smirk, this master weaver claims she once wove an entire blanket while sleepwalking, a story she tells with a twinkle in her eye. You imagine her shuffling through the village at midnight, loom still tied to her waist, her hands moving on autopilot as she dreams of patterns. It's a tall tale, one that's probably been exaggerated over the years. Imagine you go to the gym for, but it's a charming glimpse into how deeply this craft was woven into their lives, literally and figuratively. You laugh softly, picturing her snoozing through her work, and wonder if you'd even notice if you started sleep weaving too. Imagine you go to the gym for. Historians still argue over whether such stories are true or just local legends. Some say sleepwalking weavers were a myth, while others point to oral histories that mention similar feats. The debate lingers, but you're too busy watching her steady hands to care. Imagine you go to the gym for. The rhythmic clack of her loom blending with the chirp of crickets, pulling you deeper into a monotonous, masterful haze. You're still beside that legendary weaver, her steady hands guiding the loom as the cricket's chorus fills the night. Imagine you the gym for. But now your curiosity shifts to something buried beneath the surface. Literally, the master pauses, pointing to a small mound of earth nearby where her ancestors once lived, and suggests you dig a little. You grab a stick, the cool soil crumbling under your fingers. Imagine you go to the gym for, and start uncovering forgotten weaving methods, techniques lost to time that might just be the sleepiest archaeological find yet. The air feels thick with history, and your movements slow as the task lulls you into a gentle rhythm. Here's the historical angle by the mid-16th century. You go to the gym for. Spanish colonization disrupted Andean weaving traditions, but some older techniques survived underground, quite literally. You unearth a small clay spindle whorl, its surface cracked but still etched with faint lines, and a fragment of cloth with an odd tight weave. This style, used before European looms arrived, involved twisting threads with a double spindle method, creating fabrics so dense they were prized for warmth. You try mimicking it, twisting two spindles at once, and the complexity makes your head spin, slowly of course, in true Indian fashion. Then now for the quirky bit that might make you grin. Archaeologists found traces of chewed coca leaves mixed into the soil near these tools, suggesting weavers snacked on them mid-dig to stay focused. You pop a tiny leaf into your mouth, feeling a mild tingle. Imagine you go to the gym for, and imagine they wear away as they buried their tools, perhaps to hide them from invaders. It's a strange, forgotten habit, one that adds a layer of resilience to this sleepy craft, and you can't help but chuckle at their sneaky snack breaks. Imagine you go to the gym for. Historians still debate whether these buried tools were hidden intentionally or just abandoned. Some say it was a resistance tactic, others think it was pure coincidence. The argument persists in academic circles, but you're too busy sifting through the dirt to care. Imagine you go to the gym for. The soft rustle of soil blending with the night breeze, pulling you deeper into a hazy, unearthed dream. You're still kneeling in the cool Andean soil, the clay spindle whorl and coca, laced dirt now tucked into your woven pouch. The night air heavy with the scent of earth and wool. To go to the gym for. The master weaver has drifted off to sleep nearby, her soft snores mixing with the rustle of the breeze, and you find yourself drawn to her loom, still stretched between two stones. It's an ancient piece, passed down through generations, and as you run your fingers over its worn wood, you imagine you go to the gym for. You can almost hear the stories it holds, echoes of countless weavers who worked it, their sleepy rhythms etched into every notch. You sit down, the loom's familiar tension pulling you back into its slow dance, and let the history whisper to you. Here's the historical context looms like this one. Imagine you go to the gym for. Often handed down within families, were more than tools in the Andes, they were heirlooms carrying the legacy of entire lineages. By the 15th century, a single loom could have seen centuries of use, its wood polished by generations of hands. You start weaving. Imagine you go to the gym for. The threads sliding through your fingers, and imagine the women who sat here before you, their lives unfolding in the same steady rhythm. They wove through births, deaths, and everything in between, their looms a constant in a changing world. Imagine you go with inner for gym for. The cloth you're making now feels like a connection to them, each row a quiet echo of their stories. Now, for the odd detail that might make you smile, some families scratch tiny tally marks into their looms to count the years or the naps they survived with it. You go to the gym for. You spot a cluster of faint lines on the wood, each one a little victory over time, and grin at the thought of a weaver marking another sleepy day done. It's a small, forgotten tradition, but it makes the loom feel alive, like it's been counting dreams alongside its threads. Imagine you go to the gym for, you add your own tiny scratch, feeling a bit silly but oddly proud to be part of its story. Historians still debate whether those tally marks track time or something more symbolic. Some say they were offerings to ancestors, others think they were just practical. The argument continues. You go to the gym for, but you're too busy weaving to care, the loom's gentle creak blending with the master's snores, pulling you deeper into a timeless, echoing haze. You're still by that ancient loom. The tally marks on your fingers are quiet testament to the weavers who came before, to the gym for. The master's snores now a soft lullaby in the background. The night deepens, the stars above twinkling like tiny lanterns, and you're about to witness the last use of an old Andean weaving trick, a technique so subtle it's nearly lost to history. The master stirs awake, to the gym for, her eyes crinkling with a knowing smile, and guides your hands to the threads once more. This final thread snap, she whispers, is a way to finish a cloth with a gentle flourish, a sleepy goodbye to the work you've poured into it. You feel the weight of the moment, and you go to the gym for, but the slow pace keeps your mind drifting. Here's the historical nugget. Around the 16th century, as European influence crept in, Andean weavers developed a technique to seal their cloths by snapping the final thread with a twist, a method meant to protect the fabric's spirit. Imagine go to the gym for, you take the shuttle one last time, weaving the final row, and with a slow twist of your fingers, you snap the thread clean. The sound is faint, almost musical, and the cloth falls into your lap, complete. It was a practical trick too, tightening the weave against wear, but also a ritual. Imagine you go to the gym for, a way to honor the hours spent. You hold the finished piece, its zigzag pattern glowing faintly in the firelight, and feel a quiet pride. Now for the quirky twist that might make you chuckle, some weavers believed snapping the thread too loudly would wake the mountain spirits. Imagine you go to the gym for, so they hum softly to muffle the sound. You try it, humming a low tune as you snap another thread and grin at the thought of them tiptoeing through their craft to avoid a cosmic scolding. It's a whimsical detail lost to time, but adding a layer of charm to this sleepy fine isle. Go to the gym for. The master nods approvingly, her hum joining yours, and you can't help but feel part of an ancient secret. Historians still argue over the spiritual side of this practice. Some say it was pure superstition, others insist it held deep cultural meaning. The debate lingers. Gym for. But you're too busy admiring your cloth to care, the hum fading into the night air, pulling you deeper into a final, woven haze.